All right, looks like we're getting some people in. I believe it's a pretty unusual time for most of our listeners. We usually go around 3 p.m. UTC, but now it's late, which is like 10 p.m. here, and they did the daylight savings thing that always messes up my biological time. But yeah, it's late, but we start really soon. For now, Haas, could you please introduce yourself and what you do for the REI and kind of just a brief intro for the listeners?
Yes, I mean, I think here in the States, that's where I am located, and also our guest Tyree is. But I think we do ours on Monday or Sunday night, I think. But yeah, it always totally messes me up too with the UTCs, and then some people that I'm familiar with, they don't do it, and some people do, and then yeah, it's nothing but a mess for a while till you get reacclimated to it. But as for me, my name's Cosmos Haas. The pronunciation is Orai, which it stands for Oracles and AI, so it's Orai. No biggie though. But my position, I've been with Oraichain since late May, early June-ish, I think. It's time flies, it's so hard to tell. But I've been following Oraichain for quite a while. I primarily spend most of my focal point within Cosmos, which is a very large galaxy of L1s. I think there's like 80 or so L1s now or so, and Oraichain is one of those. I've been kind of fascinated with artificial intelligence for like even pre-crypto, and what they're doing is really fascinating. We'll get into all that, but basically I'm just like the media slash help with marketing slash community management guy. At the end of the day, I just love crypto and want to be doing it the rest of my life, and I try to find like-minded people and projects that I can kind of coincide with. And I really like not only what Oraichain's building, but the fundamentals with the team. Like there's like, I don't know, approximately about 60 devs on team. They're all based over Hanoi, Vietnam. A lot of PhDs on the roster. It's a really bright team that's building for the future. So I felt really compelled, and when I got the opportunity to be involved with Oraichain, I obviously accepted, and yeah, here I am. So glad to be here. I'll pass it over to Tyree.
Yeah, thank you, Haas. So my name is Tyree Robinson. I am the head of ecosystem for Oraichain. I have been with the project since 2021 now, so for a few years, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for our community that listens in on this to learn more about StealthEX. I'm going to give you guys a really brief rundown of what we do at Oraichain. So we are, as Cosmos Haas mentioned, a Cosmos-based L1 that is focused on AI primarily. So both delivering AI Oracle services to other chains, but also focused on creating a full infrastructure for people to develop AI-based DApps on our mainnet and in Cosmos as well. We, as Haas also mentioned, have a pretty extensive in-house team, a number of really great applications working right now. A lot of things that aren't being done in the space too much yet. Really at the cutting edge of where AI can really take intent and translate that into execution, and we're really excited about that. So yeah, if anybody is not familiar with us yet, definitely double click on our profile, check out our website. And I know that we're going to get to a bunch of questions throughout here, so I don't want to spoil everything too much. I'm going to pass it back.
Fascinating. Thank you guys for this introduction. Ori, I'll try to not mess it up again. Now it makes sense. Oracle AI now kind of all clicks in together. But yeah, anyways, for those who are unfamiliar with the format, we will go over 10 questions we previously picked from Twitter, and then we'll open up the chat for the live ones. The whole thing should be about 1 hour, give or take. Right, without further ado, let's go on with the questions, and we have plenty good ones this time. So let's start with the first one. Do ORI token holders have the right to participate in the governance of the projects? What types of decisions can they vote on regarding the project?
Yeah, so I'll just jump in right there and get started and talk about governance. So, Oraichain is a decentralized proof of stake network. So, all DAO members, meaning those that delegate stake their tokens on Oraichain mainnet, do get the right to participate in governance, both in sort of discussing, proposing, as well as voting on different initiatives. Now, that governance may be related to core parameter changes on the chain, like inflation rate, unbonding times, things in that nature, but can also, go into some different areas, right? So we have our DAO treasury, which is currently about 1.7 million Arai tokens, representing about, I don't know, maybe around $6 million worth of tokens right now. That is available for community members to appropriate and use to help grow the network, whether that be in developer incentives or marketing initiatives or different things like that. It's a pretty substantial amount of tokens, and that allocation grows constantly as new blocks are minted. So that's exciting. And then on the other front, there are all of our liquidity programs also pass through governance. So every time new pools are created on Oraichain, or incentives are put together for Oraichain, those go through governance as well. So again, just to kind of recap that, in general, every DAO member has the right to govern mainnet. There are also a number of ways that the DAO can participate in using funding and allocating tokens in order to grow the network. Haas, is there anything that we should add to that?
No, I mean that's yeah. I mean the community pool is there. I mean, we honestly really haven't had anyone kind of tap into it at all. So, like on our side of things, we are trying to get more involved. We have a great community, but like we're looking for like a community-led project. Not that everything's going to pass, but there's no bad ideas. So we're always looking for people out there. Even if you're not a coder or a builder, we know people that can make that happen. So there's no bad ideas. Come get involved. We have a DAO. We also have a really good Telegram group, which is really where everyone kind of they're called the Samurais, but that's where everyone's at, where we just like talk shop and have great ideas and things like that. So, but no, it's governance is obviously a big part of it, and yeah, we're always looking for new people to join the community too. So
Awesome. Well, this is the true DAO and all the beauty of the decentralized finance. In the gist of it, right? You have community voting on stuff and making decisions and eventually becoming, the lead force for the project. And of course, I think that what's every DeFi project should be aiming for. All right, let's continue with the questions. As the part of the Cosmos ecosystem, Oraichain relies on the Cosmos Hub for security and validation. Can you elaborate on the relationship between Oraichain validators and the Cosmos Hub and how they work together to maintain network integrity?
all right, well, you want me to hop in real quick, Tyree, so I give
Yeah,
you a little break?
why don't you give it a quick rundown on that? I do want to just preface it by saying that there is a common misconception in the Cosmos that all sovereign chains in the Cosmos ecosystem are directly related in any way to Cosmos Hub or the Atom token. And I'm going to pass it to Haas because I know that you're going to love sort of
Yeah.
jumping into this.
Oh yeah, this is like it's so crazy, like how misconditioned everyone is. I don't know if it's because people are so familiarized with like Ethereum, and it's called a monolithic approach. So it's like everything is built on one thing. So full disclosure, realistically, I don't really know too many chains, maybe like one or two that's using the Cosmos Hub for security. We're not one of them. Not that we don't like Cosmos Hub or the Atom token, but we have no affiliation whatsoever. So technically, in theory, which I don't think it would ever happen, but like my early example is I like to think of Cosmos as a galaxy of planets that are truly all connected in the way that all the civilians or citizens all speak the same language, so you're like free to go to one planet or the other. However, you're not a rent seeker. You don't need to pay fees in Atom to go to all the other planets. Like you're free to go. So like let's just use this as an example. Like let's say hypothetically asteroids hit the atom hub, like think of it as its own planet, and it gets like destroyed, like it would have no effect whatsoever on our planet, the Orion planet. So like just to think of it in that aspect. We don't rent from Atom. We don't technically even need the Atom token. Now we have Atom on Oraidex, which is a DEX within, our chain, but they don't really coincide at all with one another, except for like we're using the same sort of like tech stack. I don't know if that makes any sense. If you had any follow-up questions, I like to think of it or explain it in metaphors or analogies, or try to give you like a picture of how it works, because it's kind of how it works. Like we don't have anything to do with them, so to speak.
No, I absolutely love the space analogy, and I think it would help for a lot of people to kind of get the idea how everything works. Because, right, most people are used to, right, you said Ethereum chain, etc., and they think that everything is not just related, but everything is built on the cosmos essentially. So it's great for the general public who is not very very techy or very in depth with Cosmos or familiar with it, to kind of have the idea how things work. Because even myself, I don't remember, like 3 years ago, maybe, when I first kind of encountered different projects within Cosmos. I think it was with you, Haas, and it was some other project. And you kind of explained me this. I was like, well, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Like the word cosmos, I mean, it just means like, in my opinion, I've never, and most people that are like OGs or just they love to attack and understand the cosmos completely. When they think of the word cosmos, they don't think of Atom. Now, this isn't a knock on Atom. Full disclosure, I own Atom, and I want nothing but the best for Atom and the Cosmos Hub. But it doesn't matter. Like the way it is we're all sovereign. We're like in my example of being citizens, we're all sovereign citizens. We're free to go wherever we choose, and we're not rent seekers. Like we own our own land. So think of like the planets, like they own their own planet or land, or if you want to consider it an island or whatever you want to consider it. You're not renting. Like what would you rather do personally? Would you rather own your own land and your own home, or would you rent like the rent off of someone and have like a person telling you what to do all the time? Not that Adam does that, but I'm saying that that's kind of the way to think of it. Like we don't really have anything to do with the success or non-success of Adam, and it has really no affiliation with our success or our demise or whatever. So like to think of it like that, as opposed like like let's just use like Binance. If you're building something on Binance and something happens to Binance or the validators do whatever they want, then you're kind of stuck. But like us, like even in the theory of like Atom goes to zero, like we'll be fine. Like it'll have nothing to do with our tech. Like we won't have to move our technology anywhere. We don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of Cosmos. Like I know Atom kind of AKA goes as Cosmos, but really it's like the IBC network, which is like the way to think of it.
Yeah, and Haas, just to jump in real quick and talk about IBC for a minute. One of the beauties of IBC is that it's, I think a lot of people think of it sort of as a bridging technology, and it's in a way that it does facilitate the movement of assets across these different networks, but it's also holds every sovereign chain accountable for telling the truth. So if I say that tokens are leaving a wallet on this chain and going to that chain, that attestation by our entire sovereign validator set is a major piece of confirming the unlocking or minting of those tokens on another chain. And compared to EVM bridges, something that Cosmos Haas often says is that there's been zero hacks, right? Zero IBC exploits that have resulted in like millions of dollars in losses, right? So it's a big reason why, between the sovereignty and the safety of IBC, it's a big reason why we're seeing people migrate to the Cosmos stack. Like DYDX, for instance, has just migrated over. But again, like we said before, not all of us are in the Atom economic zone, and not all of us are necessarily reliant on Atom at all. In terms of actual security, we do have pools though for anybody that is looking for pooling options or DeFi opportunities. We do support Atom, liquid staking Atom, and some plenty of opportunities for people. So yeah, I guess that kind of covers that topic.
Yeah, thank you for the very kind of in-depth explanation of how things work within the Cosmos. Because, right, as said earlier, for a lot of people, especially not the techie bunch, it is just a bit unusual to see what happens. But right, that's the beauty of layer one essentially, and that kind of segues us into the next question. Oraichain aims to be the first AI layer one for the blockchain. Can you explain the fundamental concept and advantages of being an AI layer one, and how does this differentiate Oraichain from traditional blockchains?
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of the reason, and I think that this might be related to another question, but I'm gonna try to answer this all in one go here, right? So, part of the reason why we chose the Cosmos stack is it is very modular and flexible and customizable, right? We chose a blockchain, infrastructure that we would be able to really um, be able to customize to specifically meet the needs of the mission that we are trying to achieve. So when we first start out on our journey, obviously we spun up our own layer one chain, but our first priority was to actually establish a safe way to be able to deliver AI services on chain from off chain and provide the full infrastructure around that. We're going to go into the AI Oracle in another one of the questions that was sort of asked, so I don't want to sort of blow all that over, but that was sort of the first core piece of tech that we were able to customize and build on the Oraichain stack, which was really important to accomplishing our mission. The next part of that is sort of where we are now, in between now and the next phase of Oraichain, the next sort of big software upgrade. The full data layer is going to be combined with an AI layer that allows people to really quickly understand what's going on chain, off chain, combine all of that insight in a very human readable way, right? So the idea of an AI layer one is that there is AI baked into the ecosystem to be able to take the index data and make it human readable to people and be able to interpret it in a really easy way, and that the benefits of that can actually spread out to a number of chains, right? It's not going to be locked in and only deal with Oraichain, but other chains in the ecosystem, whether it's Osmosis or DYDX or even Ethereum, all of that data can run through the AI and the layers that we've established in order to actually take maximum benefit of it. So that is the overall goal. Obviously, when we say AI layer one, it's a new concept, right? Nobody's really done this completely. Some people have sort of provided AI services from the outside into the blockchain. We're really trying to bake it into the next version of our mainnet, and that's going to be really exciting. It will be the first version of its kind, I think, anywhere. So really excited about that.
Cool. Yeah, let's not give up all the information because there is a very direct question about the role of AI and kind of the whole Oracle stuff. Let's continue on with the next one. What are the latest achievements of the Oraichain projects, and could you elaborate on ongoing development efforts such as market expansion plans, security audits, and staking programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of major achievements. We've reached actually today recently released the upgrade to our DeFi protocol Oridex, which includes on-chain order book, AMM, perp swaps, all of that infrastructure, and then our universal router, which allows anybody to be able to swap seamlessly between EVM and any IBC chains. All of that is the first sort of batch of upgrades for that came out today, and then like everything in our space, like we're going to continue to iterate and improve on it until it's really all honed in. So that was the most recent. Perp swaps was really fun for us, which was based on virtual AMM technology, allowing people to create futures markets, perpetual futures markets for any asset on Oraichain and be able to trade with leverage in that. So that was also very exciting. Earlier this week, we announced that we have been working for quite a long time on algorithmic based strategy vaults for trading, which is going to let people come in and take advantage of a number of different strategies that we've been testing. So we recently ran our beta on those vaults for the past 3 months, and they averaged about $200,000 a day in trading volume, and both of the strategies that we tested are are in profit pretty significantly after the first 2 months. So we're pretty confident in the alpha phase that was sort of closed to us, and now we're preparing for the beta phase where anybody will be able to come in with USDC and deposit into that vault and take advantage of those strategies, which are really getting real yield out from trading on live production markets. So those are really the three big milestones from the past month or so. We did hit sort of a couple of other cool milestones recently. We recently had our 15th project start building in the Oraichain ecosystem. So, as a small layer one, to keep having new developers come in and start building on the stack, that's very exciting for us. And, it's a wide range of applications. It's not just all sort of staking, farming, lending. There are some really interesting use cases that are coming out, a dating app, an ed tech app, credentials and SSID, quite a wide range of things. So we're seeing a good variety of applications that people want to build. We have more sort of applications in our accelerator program now that we're going through. We're also in the middle of a hackathon right now. So if anybody in the audience is a dev or has a great AI idea, there's a place for you over on Dora Hacks in our current hackathon, which will run through January. Those are some big points. And then partnerships recently, the two big ones that I want to mention. This year has actually been really big for partnerships for us because as we've started to seed and build out the business relationships, which will form the foundation of our business development moving forward, it was really important that we reach out to networks that we thought were going to be a great place to launch our products in the future, right? To be able to really take that on-chain data and make it more valuable. So early in the year, we started with a partnership with Tron, and we have been working very closely with them throughout the year on a number of fronts. And then in the past 2 months, we have also partnered with Injective and Oasis Protocol. And so all of those relationships are very valuable to us. We're really excited about those. And they're all going to help us sort of get to the next level and lay the foundation for us to seed our products into these very active developer communities. Anything else that we should add to that, Haas?
Well, that seemed pretty comprehensive from what I saw.
Yeah, sorry, it was probably too much even.
Yeah,
But
he gets like that, man. You could tell he's passionate. Like Tyree's
yeah,
the
no,
man. So am I. I'll go out there. I'll be out in the universe when I'm giving him my little spiel sometimes. So I get it. You know
no,
what I mean?
this is awesome. Definitely great to see, the wide variety of things you guys working on, and just I think in general for any project out there, variety and actual use cases is the key to sustainability and like viability in the long term. Right, let's continue with the questions. We still have plenty more left actually, and then some time for the live ones, because I'm sure some people have some more. All right, what is Oraichain's data hub, and how does Oraichain support centralized applications in using AI APIs on its marketplace?
yeah, so this is the Data Hub has always been. It was actually rebranded back in 2021 or 2022. I don't know, maybe 2022 to the Dino Hub, which is the Data Intelligence and Oracle Hub. And so the data marketplace lets anybody be able to monetize their data really simply, right? Be able to create a data set and monetize it, set access controls for that data so that people can only view samples and not view the whole data set until they purchase it. Really, the key for the value of the Dino Hub and the data marketplace is actually directly related to our Oracle. And I'm still trying to hold off from talking about the Oracle too much, but this is a good part to sort of dive into a little bit. And the one of the key mechanisms of our Oracle are these test cases, right? Any model that is published to our Oracle has test cases, which are these prompts and expected responses that are paired together and create a benchmark for AI performance. Now, every time a model is run on our Oracle, it produces an on-chain report which is stored on IPFS. It's a very human-readable report, and it's instantly accessible for anybody that wants to view it. So that could be a retail user or a B2B user that's interested in the AI model's performance, or somebody that is interested in it for a different reason, like a regulator, right? So you'd be able to get this information on chain really quickly and see whether the AI model is performing as expected. And we'll talk a little bit later about why that's important for the actual AI Oracle and how that functions. But specifically, sort of going back to the data marketplace, aside from people being able to monetize their data sets, we also provide synthetic data opportunities for people that need to generate synthetic data or adversarial test cases for their model, and also enable people to come in and request data sets, or even sort of request prompts very specific to their model. So it's meant to be a very comprehensive toolkit. It is always a work in progress, because we're sort of tackling something that's very difficult to get your arms around, and it's also very specific to our infrastructure. So, as we continue to grow, I think all of these things will come together, like I mentioned earlier, with our LLM layer. All of these trustworthy proofs that, are essentially derived from the benchmarks of these AI models. That's really a big, part of bringing transparency back to Web3. Even though you have this, black box AI movement, which is kind of creeping in, we're trying to prevent that from being too opaque, and try to open up that performance and make it, as transparent as possible for the end user. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Me personally, I love seeing new and more Oracle projects out there, and kind of surfacing for the public, because for years in crypto space, I think the Oracle situation has been kind of monopolized almost, and we're not going to name it, but we all know what we're talking about. But then right now, I'm seeing more and more projects emerging and to the general public, and I'm seeing having the AI brought in 2023, generally in the world, you can say it's the year of AI. We've seen many traditional Web2 projects emerge and become very popular amongst anybody. Like everybody is using it now, which is crazy, because last year it wasn't the case. And now this kind of going into the crypto space, and I think the next year is when this will kind of pop off. And it kind of brings us to the next question. Developers trying to build their own Dapps may need an Oracle, and they will compare the cost of each Oracle service provider. Is the cost of Oraichain Oracle lower than the other alternatives in the market?
Okay, so this is one of those questions that I've been waiting for all day, right? So, Oraichain's Oracle is meant to serve a very specific purpose, and there is a competitive moat right now between the oracles that are currently providing sort of price feed data and what our oracles are intended to do. So we have a lot of people that are dealing with on-chain data, price feed data from off-chain, and their primary responsibility is to go to verified sources, aggregate, and deliver that data to smart contracts. Now, if you have an AI model as the source of this data, it's easy to say that you should never fully trust an AI model, right? Because AI models are not built to be perfect, and they're not built to be reliable. They're built to approximate to a high degree of accuracy. And so what our AI Oracle is built to do is not only aggregate and deliver data, but also to check and measure the performance of the AI model itself. And this can be either a black box or an open source AI model. And make sure that it's not deviating away from its expected results or drifting, that output is not drifting from the expected results that a model should have. So to sort of recap that, yes, we all use this word Oracle. The word Oracle means that we're taking something from off-chain and bringing it to these smart contracts. But in our case, we're not necessarily bringing only, data feeds that are, static or from trusted sources, but we're looking at AI-generated data. That could be predictions. That could be That could be something that's generated because of generative AI, like a strategy that you ask a model to generate for you and execute. You want to make sure that those are reliable and performing to a high degree of accuracy. So I hope that that gives you a good overview. I know that we didn't talk about pricing. The truth is that our pricing for our Oracle services right now is basically free. If any of you guys are building something in Web3 and you're interested in using our Oracle services, please let us know, and we would be absolutely happy to hook you guys up with a free trial of anything that we have available right now, and we will look to be competitive on every front with services that are available.
Thank you for explaining. That kind of makes a lot of sense. You have AI, one AI backing up another AI and making sure it's operating properly, which is pretty neat in my opinion. All right, let's move on. What's the role of AI in the Oraichain ecosystem? What are the fees associated with using it? Yeah, we kind of just covered this one, didn't we? If you want to add anything.
Yeah, I guess, I guess we can just talk about a few like really quick use cases in the Oraichain ecosystem right now, right? So if anybody has not had a chance to try any of our products, we do have an NFT protocol, which is pretty unique over on our chain called AI Write, which both passes generative AI models through our API to create assets on chain, but also this is really the really unique thing about it. The minting protocol checks for authenticity. So if an asset exists already on another chain, it can't be minted. And we're expanding that database right now to also include real world intellectual property, right? So the idea here though is that the Web3 will not be a wild west forever, right? People aren't going to be able to go in and mint SpongeBob NFTs forever. One day, SpongeBob is going to come and come asking for its money, or it's going to send cease and desist to all of these NFT platforms to remove their assets, right? So being prescient about what the future of this industry looks like and what adoption looks like in the media industries in general, we went out and got a patent on our NFT tech, which preserves authenticity and intellectual property ownership rights, and is available as an Oracle service for anybody that's integrating or creating a marketplace minting contract that wants to sort of keep originality and IP rights protected. So that is one of the really great ways that it's available now, both in our ecosystem and available to other ecosystems as well. Another use case that I'm really excited about is real world assets.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
So obviously real world assets is a big trend right now. There's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of difficulties in bringing real world assets on chain. And I see some friends in the audience. I know I've talked about this with Red Eye before. Haas and I have talked about it a lot before. But when we look at valuation for real world assets, it's really comes down to how do you trust the valuation of an asset, the ownership of that asset, and then be able to use that real world asset as collateral on chain. Because the house will never be on chain, right? You can put all the documentation on chain, but the house can never actually be on chain. So it makes it really difficult for the ultimate use of Web3, right? Which is that an individual family might want to access a line of credit on their home on the chain. And that is something that we are actively working on and currently in the last stages of rolling out a project in Vietnam where the credit markets are very difficult, where the housing market for sort of shopping for housing is not centralized. Like in the United States, you can go on Zillow and find the entire inventory. There's nothing like that, in Vietnam right now. So we're working with a lot of big real estate folks over there we're coming together and working on both a marketplace for real estate sales, chatbot tools, and then valuation tools for people to be able to access real-time data on their properties. And then the final piece that I think that I've touched on a couple of times is just the power of LLMs to actually query the blockchain in real time and make it relatable for people and easy for them to understand is something that we shouldn't sort of miss, right? So what we're working on right now, and I can't talk too much about it because it hasn't been announced, but our AI lab has been dedicated to exploring every way that we can use large language models, and really, at this point, we're looking at a combination of some really cool and important pieces of technology, right? So, large language models, um, account abstraction, and then sort of cross chain, whether it be IBC or EVM bridging technologies, some cross chain movement. So our goal is ultimately to allow for AI to be that translator that makes blockchain even easier to use than sort of we have achieved today, and helps us get to a new level of adoption more broadly.
Fascinating. Haas, do you want to add anything to it? You kind of were
No,
going
man,
through.
it's just a lot of use cases like art. And like Tyree was saying earlier that people don't think about, but in the future, there's probably going to be like a trillion different NFT collections and just artwork, and you know, um, someone that's the original artist should be one that gets rewarded over that. Someone shouldn't just be easily able to just steal their ideas or their artwork or their whatever, and prosper from it. So like that's just like common grounds just in real life too. Like when you invent something or create something, you get like a royalty for your work, and someone can't just easily take it. I guess depending on where you're located at, some countries, I guess they don't play ball by that, but no, like that's a great use case. And like what Oraichain's doing, there's so many possibilities with it, and it's just exciting because not only that, like I don't know if Tyree was mentioning it or not, but like it doesn't even have to just be with artwork. It could be like you create this algorithm or this strategy that people can tap into, like the API of it, and you can also earn a percent back for creating some sort of strategy, and that's what it's about, like empowering the people. That's like the whole ethos of crypto is to bring and put more power back into you as the creator or developer, or the person that creates something. So it's a really cool thing, man.
Yeah, and I want to add just one really quick thing. So we were talking about intellectual property a minute ago, and you know, when during Consensus earlier this year, we met an organization in Texas where the event takes place in Austin, called Texans for the Arts, and they were like very concerned about generative AI impacting the revenue and earnings potential for artists in Texas. And they're also concerned about existing artworks being infringed. And, we talked about what we do, we talked about our whole solutions sort of stack, and they were like, we really want to be involved with you and work with you and partner with you on creating educational content around this, but then also getting to these tangible solutions for IP protection, both in sort of the generative world and on chain assets being minted, so that at least in Texas, they can take the first step towards independently going out and protecting the sovereign IP rights of all of their stakeholders. So I thought that was really beautiful. And in the process of sort of going through what a partnership looks like, I actually made them go through governance as well, right? Where I said, well, if you guys want to come in and get a grant to work with us on this product and project and create this educational program, then you should go through governance and propose it. And that was also a learning curve, right? Where you have very centralized real world organizations, and I'm literally dragging them into Web3 and saying, come on chain, create a proposal, explain it to the DAO, and then walk through what you're doing. And then, so bridging to the real world, I'm very happy at the end of 2023 to say that I've actually achieved that in a real way with a real organization, and have made an impact with our tech stack so far, both our vision and beginning to put it into practice. So thank you for that.
No, this is absolutely fascinating. I always believe that the projects that bring use cases, and especially kind of use cases, not just to the Web3 people, not just within the DeFi space, but use cases for the regular people, and potentially, onboarding them into Web3 and educating them at other projects that will, be viable and will stand the test of time. Because I think that's still one of the key problems, is just the bridge between, crypto and, regular people. And then the onboarding process is not very easy for a lot of people. It's still, they still believe it's a quick gains or losses, Ponzi schemes, etc. And it's sadly, for some bad apples in our industry, more and more people kind of skew their opinions toward that. But it's fascinating to hear that you guys working with people who essentially have nothing to do with Web3, and then you just drag them in, introduce them to governance, and it's a pretty easy to grasp concept, right? Because it's sort of democracy when you vote and propose, and people like they're either for or against what are you proposing. Anyways, we have a few more questions left, and then we will open up the chat for the live ones. What are your marketing strategies and programs that you plan to attract new users? What are your plans for 2024, and what is the goal of this project? Wow, that's a big question.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge question, and for to a certain extent, I've talked about this already, right? Creating good relationships with networks that have very active user bases and developer communities to seed our tooling in the future. So that's sort of one big thing. But the reason why this question is so big is understanding that we're a multi-vertical network, and there are many products in it, right? So there are some things that are B2B for devs. There are some things that are sort of B2B2C, which are like can be packaged and passed through to different platforms, and customers will interact it with directly. And then we have some applications on our network that are strictly B2C, DeFi applications, lending protocols, even some sort of smart wallet account abstraction use cases. I'm going to sort of stick to the middle one, which is the B2B2C use cases for a minute, right? So as we're digging more deeply into LLMs, we look at some of these other projects as like a really great opportunity to take all of the research that we're doing and pass that value along by sort of packaging up what might be, a widget that can easily be plugged into anybody's application and allow them to connect their wallet and get a snapshot or query their wallet balance and on-chain history, and sort of ask some questions with NLP, natural language, regular human input, basic questions, right? So this idea of sort of taking chatbot and pushing it as the new UI that's going to really enable the next sort of growth of the ecosystem is something that we're taking really seriously. And we take it so seriously that of course we could have rushed to market with something mediocre all year, taking like a chat GPT API and putting something up. I think Solana came out right away as soon as the API was available and said, hey, you can use the GPT API to we're really going after this all sort of grassroots, building a lot of stuff in-house. Our AI models will be open source, and so anybody will be able to come in and check and see what we're doing. And I just really feel really strong that this is going to, really change the way that people interact with Web3 in general, and it's going to be very detailed and very specific. So we'll definitely be a lot of material coming out about that in the next month or so, since we are in AI season, as everybody likes to know. So there's going to be a lot of cool details on the way. But yeah, that would be the primary thing that I'm thinking about right now, in terms of like sort of seeding product outside of Oraichain. It's really, looking at really active communities and going after those applications and bridging our value to their users.
Awesome. I absolutely love the approach. Is building everything in house and not resulting to, taking the ChatGPT API and kind of plugging it in somewhere where it would fit. Because I've definitely seen projects that do that, and kind of, I don't think it is a good way to go about, your project, and being when, you know sticking around in space for a long time. Definitely, it's not the way to do if you're just taking things from other places and plugging it into your project and kind of saying, well, we built something new. We have Chat GPT, but it's Web3. Well, okay, guys. Anyways, we have a couple more questions left, but we basically covered all of that. I don't think there's need to go over them once again. Let's take some live ones. We have like 10-ish more minutes left. I don't want to hold you guys more than we should. And for those listeners who missed, we will be posting a recap afterwards, so everyone will be able to catch up and hear. All right, let's pick someone who has been here for a while. I think this person has been here for a long time. All right,
So
Tommy, Eddie.
I see one question in the comment right up at the top that I do want to just like tackle, right away, right? So I think Marvel is the name on that account. They said, do you feel AI will contribute greatly to massive adoption of users to Web3? And this is really huge to me. I truly believe that the reason people have not already adopted Web3 tech is because they just don't understand it at all, right? It's like reading a different language to them, and so having something that actually puts it into words that they understand, analogies that they understand, and like that is going to be such um, a big tool for our ecosystem. We don't want to be gatekeepers to this tech, right? We don't want to get out here and say, this tech is only for the super intelligent. It's only for the people that have time to DYOR, because traditional finance system is not good enough at all. I went to the bank today to cut a reasonable sized check, and it was a nightmare. And it was actually I left two different branches of Bank in America and was unable to get a cashier's check because the manager's keys, passwords weren't working on their system. And I just thought, how simple of a thing it is, and how ironic that here I am working in, full time in sort of fintech, and how easy it is to sign a transaction or to do a multi-sig, and I can't get like a manager at the bank to sign off on on a cashier's check. And so I failed. I spent 3 hours in banks today walking around doing that. And so super frustrating, but it just shows you that like this tech absolutely has market fit. All we need to do now is be able to translate that value to the end users, to our ideal end users, and I think AI will be a huge part of that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you
Go
for
ahead.
adding this.
I'm going to let you take some questions.
Yeah, no, thank you for adding this question. That kind of was a good summary for everything, kind of good way to wrap up the Twitter part. All right, we have Tommy here. Tommy, you can speak now. You have to unmute yourself though.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go.
Okay. Thanks for bringing me up. So my question is, I just want to know, can you tell me like what is your strategy to actually keep the user of the Oraichain network engaged, and more participating on the platform? Is there like incentive program for active users on your platform?
So I'm gonna pass it to Haas in a second to talk a little bit about our experience with this, but I do want to say that like the incentive to be an active member of Oraichain's governance DAO, beyond sort of the tokens, is the opportunity to govern the future of this technology and the gateway to which many people will experience, I think, their primary touch point into Web3 and blockchain. To be a part of that governance is something that everybody, I think, should want, because they want to be a part of that next boom of having the next million or 2 million or billion users come on chain, right? So there's a lot of concern always on rewarding an incentive alignment, right? Getting a lot of people sort of engaged with yield and things like that. And yes, there are yield opportunities. Our delegation offers 20% APY to come in. Our yield farms on our Ridex are very high. I think some of them go as high as 100% APY or something right now, with some pretty awesome pools, Injective, Arai, and Atom, Arise, some of these pools. So those are some ways. But Haas, I want you to talk about sort of your experience with like community engagement programs, because we did use Zealy for a little while. We've experienced a bunch of these different platforms. So, what is your sort of opinion on it, Haas, doing those types of programs?
So it's a mixed bag. I mean, you will get some new people, so it's like it's always a plus positive at the end of the day when you do these. Like Zealy, I'm messing around with like looking in Galaxy because I've heard good things about Galaxy, which mitigates a lot of like the double accounts and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's always a plus positive. But my approach is like I'm more conservative with the approach. Like I'm like slow and steady. Like we're not in a sprint. It's a marathon, and I would much rather take one or two, three or four good community members that want to be a part of it. Actually, want to be a part of it. They're asking legitimate questions and trying to learn and grow over just like people that are just going all over the place, and really they're just farming rewards and incentives. And some people, I guess I don't blame them for doing that. Maybe that's going to put food on the table or whatever. But my approach is to try to find people that generally want to be a part of it. And me, like putting all this time and effort into this space, I've been a part of all kind of different communities. But at the end of the day, I was always seeking one that was like a really good team, a good product, a good use case, great tech, has runway, very under valued when it comes to like the valuation of the overall ecosystem. And I believe that I found that with Oraichain. I think there's a lot of great products, a great team. It fits all my little check marks, and I'm just glad to be a part of it and help and do what I need to do and help it move it forward in any capacity I can. And yeah, I mean, like I talk to a lot of developers and teams throughout the space, and like they have nothing but good things to say about Oraichain and the devs and the team and all that. So that's kind of my approach is from me personally. That's what I look for in a chain. Now, yeah, I don't know if that really answers the questions because there are quite a few of them. There's Zealy, there's Crew 3, there's Galaxy. There's other things. I just personally like what Tyree and I do every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, which currently it's 15 UTC. It will be changing, I think, next week after this week. We just do a space, and we're just consistent, and we open up the floor if anyone wants to come by and ask any questions, and we generally speak about all of crypto and topics, random things outside of crypto that really doesn't even correlate with crypto at times. But it's just a good time. It's a good space. And that's the kind of things that I like to build. And I've been doing that on a personal note with my own personal Twitter and just community building for the last couple of years and I'm always looking for people that are asking me questions, or maybe they're sharing something that they found, and that's what it's kind of about, is like this whole, like a village approach. That's what I look for. So
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tommy, for the question. The village approach. I never heard that, but I like it a
yeah,
lot.
man,
Thanks.
the village approach, like it all takes us to build a village,
Yeah, no,
and
it makes a lot of sense when you put it in the context of, any DeFi, right? It's kind of a true DeFi should be a village approach essentially, because if it's not that, that's not DeFi, right?
Well, yeah, and like to add one more thing to that. So like Cosmos is very communitarian, and all these different app chains are connected in a way that like a lot of the community members are throughout a bunch of them. Like I was saying earlier in my example, it's like a galaxy. We're free to go wherever you want. And people talk. Like I know a lot of people in our space, and maybe they're like, hey, do you know someone that wants to be a moderator? Do you know anyone that could do XYZ task? And I'm like, yeah, I do actually. And then I recommend people, but it's based off of like my experiences with that individual. Even if I don't know them on a personal level, it's because I've interacted with that person several times. I read their content that they put out, and they've asked me questions. Maybe they helped me in the past or whatever. And like, that's how you get seen in this space. It's not about just like hitting and running or like looking at everything in a monetary value. It's about like giving back, you know. And like I always ask this question, like who's better for your ecosystem or the chain or the governance or the DAO or whatever? Is it someone that like invests say $20,000 and then never is a part of it, or is it someone that maybe just invests like $20 or $100, but they're always around? And it's like you can't really put a price on social engagement. And like we all have something. That's why I said a village approach. We all have something that we can offer to this space, whether it's like coding or speaking or artistic work, memes, like just anything, right? And it's like we all have a skill that you can actually bring. And it's like this space allows you to do that. If we had this conversation a few years ago and you would have been telling me that I'd be doing any of this, I would have thought you were crazy. But here I am, and like I wouldn't do any. This is what I want to be doing the rest of my life. It's nothing but a good time, like through the ups and downs. And I just see the long-term vision, and I'm not in a race. So
Awesome. No, this is music to my ears. Love to hear that, and I totally back up this kind of approach because, in my opinion and in my experience, the time and effort is a lot more valuable investment rather than, a one-time monetary sort of value thing. All right, let's take some more questions. There's a lot of people with their hands on. Okay, Professor of 306, adding you as speaker. Professor, you can speak now. You have to unmute yourself though.
Professor, that was me. I did the ring. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Marketing is very important to any Web3 project. What has been your marketing strategy to create more allowance for your project?
I mean, we kind of touched on it. I know, like Tyree and the rest of the team, they put out a lot of really good graphics and statistics and like short videos on how to do things. And we're always like, I guess marketing could even be tied into, we do a weekly space every Saturday. We're always in the chats. Like our Telegram is like around the clock pretty much. I call it customer service. So like if you have any issues, we have a support. It's basically we have a support team. Maybe it's not 24/7 during the weekends, but we're always looking. I'm always on. Tyree's always on. We have other moderators and helpers, and we're just always answering the questions. And I think that's the best marketing, is like having somewhere to go. Like I've been involved. Well, I haven't personally been involved with some of these projects, but like I don't want to name names, but like there's some really big dexes and players in this space where they don't have any customer service. Like there's nowhere to go ask questions or if you need any help. And then that promotes scamming and people, impersonating. And not that can't happen how we have it set up, but we have bots that basically mitigate any potential scam. Like the rule of thumb for anyone is like moderators or admins, they're not going to DM you. So like that's always a red flag right away. But yeah, I mean that's kind of it. Like we do that. We're just basically like knocking on doors. We're always talking. We're always doing spaces. We're always talking to other teams, and that all goes into marketing, business development. Marketing is huge. Like there are teams in this space, I believe, that really don't even have a good product, but they're just really good at marketing. And while they build their product, and I feel like we're a mesh of both. Like we're a really good product. We're not there yet. I don't think anyone's there yet in that space, but we also have a good business. We have good business acumen. Like my background, I've been in business for over a decade now. And Tyree's same thing. And, there's other people on the team as well. So I don't know if Tyree, if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, I guess the only thing, this is a very, very, very common question. I think that the biggest thing that people should understand, though, is that the marketing for a layer one network is a couple of different things, right? It's about like reaching out to devs, individual products, protocols on a network. That's a different type of marketing. And then ultimately, we're going to get to these really retail projects. I don't think that we're, as Haas kind of alluded to a second ago, I don't think that we're really in a place right now where there are that many like real retail products, right? We have, a lot of products that still require education before you jump in. And once we get to a place where people can, really have quick and easy products that they need in their real life, then we'll really start talking about what like traditional marketing, like going after, a vertical or a user segment and being able to reach them everywhere they are and in unique sort of experiences and onboarding them to your product, right? And I think that that's sort of the next evolution. Right now, we're checking all the boxes. We're going to the conferences. We do the Twitter Spaces. We do, YouTube interviews and all of those things, and we love to do that. But I think that the future is going to be a lot more targeted and specific on what marketing looks like and what it yields. Right now, a lot of marketing may yield a little bit of buzz, but let's be honest, there's 7,500 projects in crypto, and, revenue is elusive for many of them, right? So, the idea that there is a true ROI beyond getting more token holders or more people on your network, that, like I said, is not quite as tangible for many projects. What's good for us is that there is a direct road to that products, right? AI is going to be a valuable product. We've already seen record numbers with OpenAI. We want to go to the next level and be able to offer something tangible and valuable to the masses for Web3. And so marketing along with that will be very specific and be very exciting. I've got lots of demo marketing campaigns waiting in the wings. I know I've showed some to Haas, but yeah, that's my little add-in for that question.
Fascinating. Thank you for this, pretty comprehensive elaboration on the marketing aspect. And yes, Haas mentioned, there's a lot of projects that may have not so much great of a product, but a great marketing team. And I would, for everybody out here, I would just always do your research, and if something is flashy, buzzy, and cool, don't just hop in. If they have a great marketing, doesn't mean they have great product, great project, or even a project with good intentions. Because we've seen that, sadly, in our space, we've seen this way too often. When something is very cool and flashy, but it ends up being not so good at the end of the day.
Yeah, you should never invest in anything that you haven't used before at all. That's just the way it is. Like, even outside of crypto, like, you should only invest in things that you like use, understand, and like, because then it's like, okay, you understand it more, as opposed to like, oh, well, someone said this and this and this, and then you put money into it, and then you don't have a game plan. You don't know what's going to happen. You're going with the motion. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Really, you got to have a good foundation. And the way to have a good foundation, if you are going to invest in anything, is to actually use the product, understand who the people that are building the product and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish, the what and the who, and then like that, then you can kind of build the foundation. Like, think of it as a tree. You're building the roots of the tree. Doing like, oh, well, so and so said this, like, you're just like a real weak little branch on the top of the tree that's going to break when it gets real windy. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta set yourself up with a good foundation, and it's already hard enough to like find the projects that you want to get involved with and like and check it out and spend your time and effort. Our time is very limited on planet Earth. You might as well find something you enjoy doing and like doing and understand it as well. So like, that would be my advice. And that's not financial advice. It's just kind of like life advice, it kind of coincides with investing too. So
yeah, and I guess I know we're kind of going on about this, but I want to also add something to this, right? Is that this, you said it takes a village a little while ago, and now you use this really great analogy of the tree, right? And like, our community, to me, is I want our community to be like the roots of our tree, right? Like, nutrients, everything good that the tree needs to survive, they're absorbing it and they're feeding that back in, right? So And what I say that is that our community, you're not going to find a whole lot of layer ones where you're going to get the head of ecosystem in the chat all day long, taking your feedback directly back to the board of directors and saying, this user or that user had this feedback about the product. And I always stand with our ecosystem and our community on that front. You will find, if you come into and join the Oraichain community, that the CEO, the COO, the CTO, the head of product, the head of ecosystem, we are all frequently in the chats. And even if you don't see us, we're all seeing you and discussing the feedback that you're bringing. So, if you're looking for sort of a home in Web3 where you want to, not only just hold a token, but also want to be a part of creating something wonderful and being a part of that long term, I welcome you into the Oraichain family, and we are absolutely happy to welcome you into our DAO. And know that you will be in a place where you are appreciated if you decide to sort of join the Oraichain community.
Awesome. And on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go. This has been a very cool and very informative space. And Haas, thank you for those analogies.
Yeah,
Definitely,
man.
they were great, and I always love to hear that, because usually in crypto space it's always very techy language, and whenever I hear someone explaining, because that's the way I explain crypto to my family, to my mom, and then I love to
Yeah,
hear
it's
that more and more.
it's honestly the best way of going about it. Like, you have to understand it from your perspective, but then you need to just like translate it into a way that
Right.
most
No,
normal human beings can understand. You know what I mean? Because like this space is like you heard Tyree speaking earlier, and it can get really complex real fast, because it's like sometimes some things are like very difficult to explain real simplistically. Like, you have to like go out of your way, and it takes forever. But yeah, that's the way to like do it, and like that's kind of my approach in this space, and I really enjoy it. And yeah, that's great time. Thanks for having us. And yeah, and you know what? Like, I forgot, we didn't even mention, I'll say it because I use StealthEX. It's a really good product, and it's awesome because, like, if you want to get random assets, you don't have to go on centralized exchanges and do all this, hard work and figuring this out and that out and what wallet to use and do all this. I mean, it's real simple. Like, I recommend you guys all the time, and it's awesome that you have a Rye as an asset on there. So basically, you can essentially, I don't know how many assets you have listed, but there's a lot of them, and you can send, it's like you have a deposit address, and then you put your address in, and then it's, you guys barely even charge a fee at all, and you can get whatever asset you want in return. So like for a while, it was like, for people, it was harder to get RI on, unless they wanted to go on centralized exchanges or come to our decks. So they're like, hey, how do I do this and how do I do that? It's like, I could just send any random asset that I have and get a RI that I can't get from like a DEX or whatever. So it's really nice to be able to do that. And shout out to you guys, because it's a great product, and I always recommend stuff that makes it easier for people. It's like very simplistic for someone to get like any asset in crypto. A lot of times people are like, oh, I just got to go on a centralized exchange. And yeah, I mean, you could do that too if you have, some assets aren't listed on your centralized exchange. So then you got to open up another account on this one and that one. And it's like, you guys can just do all that work for them. That's how I look at it.
yeah, that's pretty much what we do. And yeah, for the listeners, if you have any asset, and if it doesn't have to be any particular chain, it can be anything really. If you have your Bitcoin, your BNB, whatever you name it, you just go to us, and with several clicks, you can get the ORI super simple and without any hassle at all, without having to yield to those centralized solutions or to bridge. Because bridging is a pain, as we all know. We all know it. Anyways, thank you guys. It was a pleasure. You have a great rest of your day. We will post a recap of this AMA probably tomorrow on our YouTube and share it with everybody. And let's give you guys a round of applause, because this was a fascinating session. Bye bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.